There are gods who rule with kindness. And then, there's Odin. In the icy heart of Norse mythology, Odin isn't just a king, he's a wanderer, a warlord, a sorcerer, and a schemer. One-eyed and all-seeing, he trades everything, even his humanity, for power, wisdom, and control over fate itself. Tonight, we're plunging into the oldest sagas and darkest poems, tales carved into stone and whispered by firelight. These aren't just stories about magic and monsters. These are the myths that made gods bleed. That shook Yggdrasil. That foretold the end of the world. So grab your mead, light a torch, and don't stray from the path. Because these are 10 Norse myths where Odin takes center stage, and none of them end the way you think. 1. The creation of the world. Before there was time, before there was light, before even the gods, there was nothing. No sand, no sea, no cooling waves. No earth below, no sky above. Only Ginnungagap, the yawning void, endless and silent. To the north, the land of ice, Niflheim, cold and cruel. To the south, the land of fire, Muspelheim, blazing with unbearable heat. Where fire met frost in the void, the ice began to melt. And from those drops, something stirred. From chaos was born Ymir, the first giant. Monstrous and alone, he drank the milk of the cosmic cow Alvumbla, who herself licked the salty ice until she uncovered a man, Buri, the first of the gods. Buri's son bore fathered 3 mighty sons, Odin, Villa, and Ve, and they looked upon Ymir and his kind with disgust. So the brothers killed him, and from his corpse, they built the world, his blood became the oceans. His flesh, the earth. His bones, the mountains. His teeth, the rocks and cliffs. His skull, the sky itself, held aloft by 4 dwarves, Northri, Suthri, Austri, and Vestri, who became the cardinal directions. His brains? The clouds. And from the sparks of Muspelheim, the gods lit the sky with stars. They fashioned the sun and the moon and set them on their chariots, chased by wolves that would one day devour them. Then Odin and his brothers found 2 fallen trees on the shore, Ask and Embla, and from these lifeless forms, they crafted the first humans. Odin gave them breath, Villa gave them reason, Ve gave them sight and speech. And the gods built Asgard, high above Midgard, linked by the shimmering bridge of Bifrost, a rainbow path between realms. But even at the moment of creation, the seeds of the end had already been sown. A vulva, a seeress long dead, saw it all and whispered to Odin, "You, Allfather, created this world from death. And death will take it back." 2. Odin's self-sacrifice for the runes. In the beginning, there was silence. Then, a whisper of wind through the roots of the world tree, Yggdrasil. High above the 9 realms, Odin, the Allfather, stared into the abyss of knowledge. It wasn't enough to be the king of gods. Odin wanted more, truth, power, and the secret language that carved reality itself, the runes. But the runes did not reveal themselves to the unworthy. They demanded sacrifice, not of blood, but of self. So Odin climbed the great ash tree, Yggdrasil, whose branches pierced the sky and whose roots drank from the well of fate. There, he took a spear, his own spear, and drove it through his side. No flinching. No cries. The god of war hung himself on that tree voluntarily, suspended between life and death. 9 days and 9 nights passed. No food. No water. No comfort. Only pain. Only the void. His one eye, already sacrificed for wisdom, now watched nothing. Ravens circled. The roots below whispered. The Norns, weavers of fate, watched in eerie silence. And on the 9th night, the veil between worlds trembled. The runes emerged from the darkness, glowing, ancient, eternal. They burned themselves into his mind, knowledge of fate, battle, healing, curses, charms. The tools of gods and kings. Odin let out a ragged breath and fell from the tree, reborn. Not as a mere ruler, but as a god who had paid the price for ultimate insight. But insight has consequences. With the runes came a new madness, the weight of knowing too much. He now saw how every thread of fate ends. He saw his own death. He saw Ragnarök. Yet still, he smiled. Because to Odin, the price was worth it. "I know that I hung on a windswept tree, 9 long nights, wounded with a spear myself to myself on that tree of which no man knows, from where its roots run. Hovmal, Poetic Edda. 3. The meat of poetry. If words have power, then poetry is divine. And no one knew this better than Odin, the Allfather, god of war, wisdom, and now, theft. It begins after the war between the Aesir and the Vanir. To seal their fragile truce, both sides spat into a cauldron. From that divine spittle was born a being named Kvasir, the wisest of all creatures. Kvasir wandered the worlds, answering questions and solving riddles, until he met the dwarves Fjalar and Galar. They didn't want his wisdom. They wanted his blood. So they murdered him, drained his corpse, and mixed the blood with honey. The result? The mead of poetry, a brew so powerful that whoever drank it became a master poet, a silver-tongued skald, a speaker of truths that shook mountains. The dwarves eventually lost the mead to a giant named Sudong, who locked it deep within a mountain called Nbjorg, guarded by his daughter Gunlod, under spells and stone. But Odin wanted that mead. Not for ale, but for inspiration. And so he schemed. Disguised as a mortal named Bolverkr, worker of evil, Odin tricked Sudong's brother Baugi into boring a hole into the mountain. Then, transforming into a snake, Odin slithered through the tunnel and emerged in the hidden chamber where Gunlod kept the mead. Here, Odin switched tactics. He didn't steal. He seduced. For 3 nights, Odin stayed with Gunlod, whispering charms and promises. And in return, she granted him 3 sips of the mead. But Odin didn't sip. With each gulp, he drained an entire vat, all 3, swallowing every last drop of the godly elixir. With the mead in his belly, Odin shifted shape once again, this time into a mighty eagle, and fled the mountain, wings thundering against the wind. Sudong, realizing the deception, followed in eagle form, talons slicing the sky. The chase scorched the heavens. But Odin reached Asgard first. He spat the mead into sacred vessels, giving the gods the gift of poetry and sacred speech. Yet not all the mead was cleanly stored. A few drops spilled during his escape, and these, Odin declared, were for the fools and blabbermouths. Which is why, to this day, not all poetry is divine. 4. Odin's eye at Mimir's well. In the roots of Yggdrasil, where reality frays at the edges and even gods speak in whispers, there lies a well, Mimisbrunner, the well of wisdom. Its waters gleam not with light, but with truth, the kind that weighs heavy and scars deep. The well was guarded by Mimir, a being older than gods, whose mind churned with riddles and secrets. Odin, ever hungering for knowledge, traveled to the well and made a solemn request, "Let me drink." But wisdom is not given freely. Mimir demanded a sacrifice, and Odin, without hesitation, plucked out his own eye, placing it gently in the well. In return, Mimir offered a single draught, and Odin saw the world as it truly was, the shape of fate, the end of gods, the threadbare mask of time. Later, when war ignited between the Aesir and the Vanir, Mimir was sent as a peace offering. But the Vanir, insulted by his cryptic silence and maddening intelligence, beheaded him. Instead of mourning, Odin acted swiftly. He took the severed head, embalmed it with herbs and spells, and spoke dark runes over it, reanimating Mimir's consciousness. Even in death, Mimir whispered forbidden truths into Odin's ear, secrets of worlds unborn, the doom of Ragnarök, and riddles no mortal tongue could shape. From that day forward, Odin carried Mimir's head with him, not as a trophy, but as a compass of fate. He would consult it before battles, beneath the stars, in the silence before prophecy. But imagine that. To carry the voice of ultimate knowledge, always reminding you of your final fate. Odin gained wisdom, but lost peace. And sometimes, in the dead of night, when the winds howl through Asgard's halls, the gods still hear Mimir's head whispering, telling Odin what's to come, and what can never be changed. 5. The binding of Fenrir. In the land of the gods, Asgard, there once grew a terror too large to ignore, the wolf Fenrir, child of the trickster Loki and the giantess Angerboda. He was no ordinary beast. From the moment of his birth, the gods felt a dreadful chill, a whisper in their bones that this creature would one day devour the world. Still, Odin, king of the gods, let the young wolf remain in Asgard under the pretense of keeping him close, to watch, to study, and perhaps, to tame. But Fenrir grew. And grew. And grew. He became monstrous in size and strength, his fangs long as swords, his eyes pools of fire. Only the brave god Tyr, god of war, dared approach him, feeding him daily, earning the beast's trust. But behind Fenrir's back, the gods plotted. They tried chaining him once, then again, with iron fetters, each stronger than the last. Each time, Fenrir shattered them like twigs, laughing with wild eyes and jaws dripping with fury. Finally, the gods turned to the dwarves, master craftsmen who forged Gleipnir, a magical ribbon forged from impossible things, the sound of a cat's footsteps, a woman's beard, a fish's breath, and more. Gleipnir was soft as silk, yet stronger than any chain. The gods brought it to Fenrir, masking fear with flattery. They dared him to test his strength again. Suspicious, Fenrir growled, "I'll only let you bind me if one of you places their hand in my mouth, as a gesture of good faith." And Tyr, the only god Fenrir trusted, stepped forward. Silent. The ribbon was fastened. The beast struggled. Roared. Thrashed. But Gleipnir held. Realizing the betrayal, Fenrir bit down, severing Tyr's hand clean off. Bound and betrayed, Fenrir howled, a sound so sharp it pierced the sky. The gods jammed a sword into his jaws to keep them forced open. Blood and drool pooled like rivers. And there he lay, waiting, it is said, until Ragnarök, when he will break free and fulfill his fate, to devour the Allfather Odin. And drown the world in shadow. But before our next 5 gripping tales, this is the start of a new series, so don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more Norse mythology. 6. The Tale of Vafthrûdnir. In the cold, endless realm of giants, there lived one who was feared not for his strength, but for his mind. Vafthrûdnir, a Jotun of immense wisdom, knew the deepest secrets of the cosmos, the birth of the world, the end of days, even the fates of gods. His mind was a fortress of riddles. And no one, mortal or divine, dared challenge him. No one but Odin. Disguised as a wanderer named Ragnarök, the Allfather left his throne in Asgard. Not for war. Not for conquest. But for a battle of intellect, a lethal contest of knowledge. His wife, Frigg, begged him not to go. But Odin smiled. Curiosity burned brighter than caution. He arrived at Vafthrûdnir's hall, veiled in shadows, and asked for a seat. "Only the wise may sit and speak here," the giant growled. "If your wits fail, you'll lose your head." The contest began. Each took turns asking questions, ancient, cosmic, impossible questions. Odin answered swiftly, of Ymir's blood becoming oceans, of Niflheim's icy breath, of how the first gods rose from nothingness. Vafthrûdnir responded in kind, of Thor's mighty steps shaking the sky, of Ragnarok's fire, of the wolf who would swallow the sun. Back and forth they went, like two ancient libraries battling with breath. But Odin was not here just to win. He was here to test the limits of knowledge. Finally, he asked the one question no one could answer but himself. What did Odin whisper in the ear of his son, Balder, before the boy was laid on the funeral pyre? Vafthrûdnir froze. A silence thicker than death filled the hall. The giant's eyes widened. He had been duped, cornered, and defeated, not by strength, but by the identity of his opponent. No one but Odin would know that, Vafthrûdnir whispered. "You are he. You are the Allfather." And in that moment, the mighty giant bowed his head, not in shame, but in respect. For even the wisest must yield before the god of riddles. 7. The Tale of Grimnir. In the ancient hall of King Gerother, a fire crackled with cruel delight. And in the shadows of that fire sat a stranger, hooded and silent, unmoving for days. He called himself Grimnir, the masked one. But his true name was Odin. It had all started as a test. Odin and his wife Frigg had watched the mortal king from afar. Frigg claimed the man was just in kind. Odin wasn't convinced. So the god disguised himself, cloaked in rags, and walked the long road to Gerother's hall to judge for himself. But the king, twisted by suspicion, seized the wanderer, tied him between two pillars, and left him to suffer by fire, for 8 long nights. His only company? The king's young son, Agnar, who pitied the silent man and brought him water. On the 9th day, the flames licking at his legs, Odin finally spoke. And the air changed. His voice, dry and thunderous, poured forth secrets not meant for mortal ears, the names of gods, the structure of the cosmos, the 9 realms, the roaring halls of Valhalla, the steeds of the Aesir, the pathways of the dead. He spoke of the wolves chasing the sun, the roots of Yggdrasil, and of a twilight that would drown all things. I am Grimnir, I am Gangleri, I am Erblindi, I am Jackr, he said. But above all, I am Odin. The king fell to his knees in horror. He had tortured a god. He tried to rise. But it was too late. As Odin revealed his face, Geirothr stumbled backward onto his own sword, impaled by fate. Odin vanished, as gods do. And young Agnar, the only one who had shown kindness, would one day wear his father's crown, a quiet gift from the masked god of riddles and fire. 8. The Lay of Harbard. There once was a long stretch of shore where Thor, god of thunder, found himself stranded. He had just returned from slaying giants, exhausted and coated in blood and sea salt, longing only to cross the water and return to Asgard. But at the edge of the fjord stood a ferryman in a grey cloak. His boat bobbed on the other side, and his name was Harbarthur, Greybeard. Thor shouted across the waves, "Ferryman, bring me across." But the man only laughed. And so began one of the most bitter, biting verbal duels in Norse myth. Harbarthur mocked Thor's battles, called him a brute, accused him of cowardice and lust. He spoke with sharp, clever cruelty, insinuating that while Thor fought with his hammer like a simpleton, he, Harbarthur, seduced women and used wit to win. Thor grew furious, roaring threats, demanding to be ferried. But Harbarthur only spat back riddles and barbs, taunting Thor's rage with an unnerving calm. His insults turned darker, even blasphemous, and he hinted at magical powers, secret knowledge, and godly affairs beyond Thor's understanding. It was only at the end, after the ferryman vanished into mist, that Thor realized he had been tricked. Harbarthur was Odin. His own father, in disguise, had tested his temper, his pride, and his patience, and Thor had failed. The path home would be longer, and Thor trudged away, defeated not by sword or sorcery, but by the grey-bearded god of words. 9. The Wild Hunt. When the sky cracks open and the storm screams your name, don't look up. On certain winter nights, when the clouds churn black and the wind tastes like iron, an ancient terror rides the sky. Known as the Wild Hunt, this phantom procession of ghostly warriors, hellhounds, and shrieking winds tears across the heavens, and at the front rides Odin, not as a wise father, but as a spectral hunter of souls. Clad in a ragged cloak, wielding a spear of ash, Odin mounts the 8-legged horse Sleipnir and scours the land from above. His quarry? The restless dead, the oathbreakers, and sometimes the living. Those who see the hunt might vanish without a trace, or worse, be forced to ride with it forever. Some myths say Odin leads the hunt to gather fallen warriors for Ragnarök. Others believe he is cursed to ride because he has become death itself, a god who now fears what he once ruled. His howling hounds signal doom, his thunderous gallop echoes across forests and moors, and lightning flashes like the swing of a blade. Throughout history, sightings of the wild hunt have reappeared, during plagues, wars, and great disasters. Even today, travelers in remote parts of Europe report a chill in the wind and hoofbeats in the sky. And always, a one-eyed god at the front, chasing something no one else can see. 10. The Prophecy of Ragnarök. Long ago, before time had teeth and the gods grew wary, a vulva, an ancient seeress, was summoned by Odin. Her eyes were blind, but she saw too much. Her voice trembled, yet every word she uttered split the cosmos. And this is what she told him. There will be signs. Oh, there will be signs. The sun will blacken. The moon will bleed. Stars will vanish from the sky like dust swept into a void. 3 bitter winters will come, no summer between them. Brothers will kill brothers. Fathers will betray sons. Morality will rot. Oaths will mean nothing. The world will forget honor. This is Fimbulvatur, the great winter, and it will not end in snow, but in fire. Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, will rise from the sea, spraying venom across the sky. Fenrir, the great wolf bound in magical chains, will snap them like twine and howl into the heavens. His lower jaw scrapes the earth. His upper jaw splits the sky. He is hunger incarnate, and he will devour all light. Even the sun. And Hel, ruler of the dead, will open her gates. From the blackened earth, the legions of the damned will march. But worst of all, the ship Naglfar will set sail. Crafted from the fingernails of the dead, it carries the giants to war. At the helm? Loki. Returned from his punishment, eyes burning with vengeance. The battlefield will be Vigrid, a plain stretching 100 leagues in every direction. The gods will stand tall, bloodied but unbroken. Thor will face Jormungandr, and he will slay the serpent with Mjolnir. But he will take only 9 steps before poison rots his insides and he falls. Odin will ride into battle against Fenrir, his spear Gungnir in hand, but the wolf will swallow him whole. In turn, Vidar, Odin's silent son, will tear the beast's jaws apart with a single foot on its throat, vengeance born of silence. Tyr will battle Garm, the Hellhound. They will kill each other. Freyr, god of peace, will fall to the fire giant Surtur, for he traded away his sword long ago. And Loki will duel Heimdall, the ever-vigilant guardian. They will die in each other's arms, choking on blood and irony. Finally, Surtur will set the world ablaze. The flames will consume the heavens and the earth. Oceans will boil, mountains will crumble, and the very roots of Yggdrasil will scream. And yet, from the ash and ruin, new life will rise. A green world, untouched, will bloom from the scorched soil. 2 humans, Lif and Lifthrazir, will emerge from the forest called Hodmimi's Hold. They will repopulate the world, quietly, humbly, away from gods and giants. And some gods will return. Balder, the Shining One, and Hother, his once blinded brother, will walk once more. A new sun will rise, the daughter of the one consumed. And the cycle begins again. To know Odin is to know sacrifice, not just of blood, but of soul. He gave his eye for wisdom. Hung himself to learn the runes. Lied, fought, and wept to bend the threads of destiny. But even he, the Allfather, couldn't escape the fate he tried so desperately to control. These myths weren't made to comfort you. They were meant to haunt you. To remind you that knowledge has a price, that power is lonely, and that even gods fall. If you enjoyed these stories from the edge of the world, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more lore-soaked darkness, only here on Brainrot Digest. Until next time, may your enemies fear your name, and may the ravens watch your path.